Mr. McNeil, can you name one lesson or idea from abroad that's helped you or your colleagues?
Well, I think I'm going to take quite a macro example of an external idea, or an idea from abroad that's helped us in the civil service. That's going right back to Northcote Trevelyan in 1854, when the model for the meritocracy, which the civil service is, and the meritocratic recruitment that the civil service operates, actually came from Imperial China. And that principle lies at the heart of really the way in which we've done recruitment ever since. So I think we owe a huge debt to that overseas lesson that we learnt then.
It's a very long history of global collaboration there. Any other direction, any projects or innovations from this country that you think might be valuable to your peers overseas?
I think one of the most interesting innovations in policy making that has come out of the UK in the past decade has been the work of David Halpin and the Behavioural Insights team. And I know that's got a lot of coverage overseas. David's doing work, for example, in Australia, I know, reading recently. And this idea that you can take, look at human behaviour, the psychology of human behaviour, and use it to shape and nudge things towards good policy outcomes for citizens, users, is hugely important. And it's something which we're only really just beginning to apply, and I'm very excited about it in the way in which the civil service, for example, does recruitment.
Great. And more generally, how can we improve the ways in which senior public officials work with and learn from their colleagues overseas?
Well, it's interesting. I was with Malay and Chinese colleagues, actually, or counterparts, on only the other day, and was struck by how similar the issues that we're tackling are, whether it's digital or demographic change, and making policy relevant at the front line. I think the answer is we need to do lots more of that, and taking advantage of the collaboration tools that we have through digital technology. So meeting face to face but collaborating virtually, I think, is the way we should be going, and really any form of collaboration enhances any business or activity. So I'm really looking forward to doing more of that.
What are the biggest global challenges within HR over the next few years?
I think the biggest challenge, certainly that I see in my role, and that's one reason why I feel so privileged to be doing this particular role as Chief People Officer for the Civil Service, is there are going to be many challenges which we can't even contemplate as the UK and humanity move through the 21st century. And one of the roles that I see any HR function having, and someone in my role having, is making sure that the conditions are right to create the leaders at all levels of the organisation who will be ready to help us navigate those times. And whether it's artificial intelligence or climate change or economic crises, those are all things which I'm sure we will encounter as we move through the 21st century and need to tackle. And the UK Civil Service is going to be at the front of tackling those issues and needs to have the right people to do that. And the people who we're hiring now as apprentices and graduates will be the permanent secretaries of the 2040s. And they need to be as good as they possibly can be. So that's probably a general way of saying that making sure that we have really good values-based leadership in our public institutions is, and in any institution actually, is the biggest challenge for any HR organisation.
Thank you. Changing gear, what's your favourite book?
To refresh my memory of the author, I've got lots of favourite books. It's very hard to choose, but one that's particularly resonates in this role is a book by James C. Scott called Seeing Like a State. And it's a book that talks about how over-planning and too much rigidity in the way in which people manage governments and organisations almost always fails. And it's always important to leave enough room for the things in the future that will surprise you and create workforces and leaders who can cope with that type of surprise and can deploy all the amazing ingenuity and agility and raw intelligence that human beings have. And as he puts it, even the most well-designed factory requires the goodwill and intelligence of the workforce to get the most out of it. And I think that's true in every walk of life. And I was really struck by how well James Scott puts that in that book. Great book. Couldn't recommend it highly enough.
Neil, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.